Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. It's Canadian content time, everybody, and we are doing some Billy Talent. I know I've been doing a lot of Billy Talent. I got a lot of Billy Talent to come. Sorry, actually, not that much more to go. Actually, I think there's 2 albums left for me to review. So let's get into the very first Billy Talent album. I remember when this came out, man. I was young, early 20s. My kids were young, really influenced by this album. My son and I were actually talking about Billy Talent as I was listening to some albums recently, some older stuff that I've repicked up. And it's interesting because I keep going with Billy Talent. I've really enjoyed albums later on from Billy Talent, whereas my son, on the other hand, really kind of just sticks to the original 3 and doesn't venture much out of that range. I don't know. It's weird how we all grow different ways with our music over time. The album opens up with This Is How It Goes. This one kind of opens up with a creepy slasher movie kind of vibe to it. And for as much as I complain about screaming, and if you're one of my regular viewers, you know I'm not huge on screaming and music, which is why I don't do a lot of screamo. I don't do into the crazy side of metal too much, stuff like that. Just not a big fan of screaming. But on this particular song, I enjoy it. However, it's not regular on any of my lists. You know, it's not a song I ever go out of my way to listen to. Living in the Shadows. This one sounds like you might think for a song with that title. It's got that darker kind of vibe to it, that darker kind of sound to it. I personally really kind of dig it, really get into it. It's a little bit slower for the band, which usually tends to run on high most of the time, you know. But this one kind of just feels a little bit slower. Then we get into Try Honesty. I can't remember what was the first single from this album I heard. I can't remember if it was Try Honesty or if it was River Below. I think it was Try Honesty. I think the order they came out in, I'm going to correct myself later in the editing anyways, but I think the order of the singles was Try Honesty, River Below, and then Nothing to Lose. There was one other song in there, I think, that was released as a video as well, which I really hated. It was just them doing a song live. I thought it was crap. But Try Honesty, this is held up beautifully after all these years. I still love singing this one to this day. The chorus is so much fun to get into. Try honesty, try honesty. You know, just great. Lion and Sinker. Solid album track, but I don't think much of it outside of listening to the album. Lies. This one has a great vibe to it. Almost pirate shanty-like to a degree. I really dig this one. Just kind of a fun vibe. When it comes to Canadians, maritime music, which a lot of times can have that kind of piratey shanty kind of vibe, creeps into a lot of Canadian music, no matter where you are. It's so ingrained into Canadian culture that I think it just kind of picks up in this song a little bit. The X, it's a solid album cut. River Below. Ooh, okay. So Tracy hates this song. She cannot stand it due to the fact of how badly her brother overplayed it. I, on the other hand, I love this song. I think it's a great song. To this day, still holds up really good. It's I mean, when it comes to, in Tracy's case, the overplay, I do understand that pain. And I've spoken about overplay kill in many of my reviews as well. This is still a totally awesome song, though, man, especially for the band's first album. And the social commentary on this is just fantastic. You know, the concept of guy building a bomb to explode to get rid of everything. This album was what, 2003? When you look at how culture has changed in the U.S. since 2001, because you're talking that this is a post 9/11 album, and when you look at how explosive U.S. media has gotten. You know, all these people blowing up and popping off. You know, it used to be a joke in the 90s, in the 80s and the 90s about going postal. And, you know, you stopped making that joke after a while because it was happening way too often. And now you've got this where, you know, in the new millennium, you got, you know, bombings at marathons. You've got school shootings every day in the US. Like, I'm not trying to get into social commentary. It's just the idea behind the social commentary of this. A guy's so sick and tired and fed up of everything, he builds a bomb to take it all out. You know what I mean? The idea that he's going to send everybody down to hell. It's kind of quite the commentary that still holds up, you know what I'm saying? And it's not celebrating it. It's warning against it. You know. All right, now moving on to Standing in the Rain. This perfectly follows River Below. The vibe and the change musically complements the previous track. Really kind of allows them to separate and sound different from each other. Really kind of pops up on the album a little bit more. And otherwise, I mean, it's your basic kind of upbeat Billy Talent kind of song. Cut the Curtain. This one, good rock and riff. Big, dirty, nasty gangland rock and roll style. Like early Alice Cooper, Bon Scott era AC/DC. GNR during Appetite for Destruction. You know, that really kind of big badass guys in leather coming out of the shadows. You don't know whether to love them or kill them, you know. Either way, you're afraid of them. After that, we're into Prisoners of Today. Basically the same thing I said about the last song, except for the little more screaming to it. Then we're into Nothing to Lose. All right. So there's this video going on right now. Grand assortment of Canadian musicians that got together doing a We Are the World kind of thing for the Kids Help Phone. Big fan, supporter of Kids Help Phone. Probably something I should have tried to utilize more myself as a kid. Because it's been around that long. I mean, Kids Help Phone has been around since I was, you know, the 80s when I was a kid. And part of me really wishes I had utilized it back in the 80s and the early 90s and stuff like that more than I did. And, you know, we're gonna take some time to put that up on here as well, because it really is a big thing. Mental health and self-deletion prevention are very important. So I'm a big fan of, you know, things like Kids Help Phone. And I don't want to minimize the efforts of the Canadian band that did, or the group of Canadians that are doing it now, but that's what it is. Kind of like this all-star We Are the World kind of thing. And it's kind of nice. It's kind of cool. And in 2023, okay, it gives hope and joy. But sometimes it's not about hope and joy. Sometimes it's about getting the painful, honest truth out there and rubbing people's noses in it. And Nothing to Lose did that song 20 years ago with a video that was gripping beyond belief. Probably couldn't get the video played anymore because it shows the act per se of the self-deletion using carbon monoxide in a school shop class. Very powerful song, and it's, if you listen to the lyrics, the video always matched the lyrics to this really well. It was done beautifully, and this song doesn't pull any punches, and you should really go check out this song. It is gripping, it is powerful, the video is amazing for it. You should definitely watch it. Back when videos could still be something that was gripping and amazing, at least on TV. You know, now with the internet it's a little bit different, although YouTube kind of screwing stuff up for stuff like that. I don't even know if you may or may not find this video on YouTube now that I think about it in this day and age. I'm not sure. And then the album finishes off with Voices of Violence. Wrong song to end the album with. It's a pretty standard Billy Talent song, even by this album's standards, like as the first album, by the standards of that. It's kind of, you know, basic. It's a good tune. I dig it, but I don't think it closes out the album very well. The sad part is, though, is I don't think there's actually any song on this album that I think would close it out really well. Even if you try to close out the album on one of the singles, you know, if you went with River Below, that could be an okay song to finish out the album with, just because the way the song ends. You could leave it with a really whoa kind of way, but I think they didn't want to impact it quite that way. But that would have been the only way I would have ended the album differently, I guess. This album, I really think this album is a must. It is the early 2000s, man, the Canadian invasion, as I like to refer to that period of time, because you had Billy Talent, you had Nickelback come on the scene, you had Avril Lavigne bust out on the scene, Sum 41 busting out on the scene. Like, all these bands were really popping out. Death from Above, 1979, even though they're not as popular as some of these other ones. But what I'm trying to get at is all these huge bands from Canada popping out in this time period. And out of all those bands, this is one of the ones that's really held up, has really done well, and I have loved since moment one. I have bought every album since it's come out. I've had to replace the albums because when I say I bought them, not necessarily me, my ex might have bought them, or I might have bought it for one of my kids for their birthdays, so we can still have it around the house. That happened a lot. So, one album left in my Billy Talent collection to replace, and then I'll have them all again. I gotta get the third one. Not a horrible thing. Wouldn't mind getting Dead Silence on CD again as well. I don't know where my compact disc version disappeared to because I bought that one, so I don't know. But my compact disc version of that one's disappeared. I got the CD version, so we'll get around to it. Whatever, it's all good. Anyways, folks, check it out. This is where it all started. This is where it was great. This was a wonderful beginning, and they got better as they went. So start here and then work your way up. That's what I recommend. My thoughts, my views, my opinions. Everybody should have this album, especially if you're Canadian. This should have Canadian content as far as I'm concerned. All right, folks, let me know what your thoughts and views and opinions are. That's what the comment section is for. Drop me a line. Let me know. Like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications. There's a link that will take you to Patreon. Please throw me a few bucks. I'm working on other ways to get a few extra bucks out of you guys. If you could, please. I'd like to invest more time into this, and unfortunately I'm at the point where investing more time and effort is now going to start sucking into I'm not either going to have any type of other life or I have to quit my job. Okay, not that much, but we're getting there. Okay. Anyways, folks, thanks. All right. Like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications. Peace, love, take care.